Okay, shalom, ubracha, Baruch Hashem. We are here, and we are going to give some insights, a bit connected to last night, but some new ideas. But before anything, we have some jokes to tell to lighten up the environment. I assume everybody here knows by now who Reb Shai ben Reb Moshe is. Reb Shai Keter. You've heard of him, Reb Shai Keter, in Hungary. People go to his kever, and he was big in Haknasat Orchim. He was big in feeding people, and he was a miracle worker. A lot of miracles are said about him, and today many people go to his kever also. It's not as big as Uman, but it's getting there. So there's a joke that on his yard site, somebody made a suda in honor of him. So when you make a suda for a yard site, so you also, besides the food, you also read some divrei Torah from the tzaddik. So what they do on his yard site, they read from a cookbook. Okay, one more joke. Okay, one more joke. This one you probably heard already, but it's good to go over it. There was a Breslev, maybe I said it last night, I'm not sure, but for the new people, okay. There was a Breslever, a Chabadsker, and the Litvak. They were all three in Gehenna. Okay, so the Breslever, he cries out, Rabbeinu, Rabbi Nachman, I was an Uman, I did the Tikkun HaKlali, pull me out, you promised. So Rabbi Nachman comes, he sees his name is in his book, okay, come, let's go. He takes him out of Gehenna. The Chabadsker, Rabbi, I did Shlichus, I did Tanya, I spread, I did what you told me to do. So the Baba comes, he said, yeah, okay, let's go. Out of the Litviker, Rosh Hashiva, help me, please. Rosh Hashiva comes, he said, I told you to be like this. I told you. All right. To lighten out the room, because Simcha is one of the themes of tonight, and also was the theme last year, and it's a theme that's very, very important to go over, Bezat Hashem. We're going to go into just preparatory ideas, and with this, we're going to explain the idea of the Chanukah lights, and especially this thing that this minhag that everybody does today, which is called Mosif Veholech, which means on the first night we light one candle, on the second night we go back to light the first candle, and then a second one, and again 1, 2, 3. We're always going backwards. What is this inyan? When you say Mosif Veholech, like in business, you're advancing. I'm advancing more. So in other words, from where I left off yesterday, from there I'm continuing and advancing. What's this thing of Mosiv Veholech, adding and going on, but we go back a step. You go backwards. And if it's advancing 2, so you go back 2 levels. If it's 3, at least what's understood in the logic of Mosiv Veholech, you want to add more candles. Where you left off yesterday, from there continue. What's this thing of going back to the beginning? To explain this and the significance of the Chanukah candles, we have to delve into just a very subtle concept that Rabbi Nachman goes into in the Likutey Moharan, lesson 24. Rabbi Nachman introduces this concept called the Keter. The Keter connotes the crown. In the Kabbalah, the Keter is the highest of the 10 Sfirot. Sfirot are levels of energy that Hashem used to create the world. They're reflected in the number 10 that appears many times. For example, the 10 Ma'amarot, where this says in Pirkei Avot, Basara Ma'amarot Nivra Olam, Hashem created the world with 10 utterances. What are those 10 utterances, by the way? That's in Parashat Bereshit, opening parsha of the book of Genesis, where it says, and the Lord said, let there be light, and the Lord said, as you count how many times it says, and the Lord said, when we're looking, there's 9 times. What's number 10? Number 10 is called Ma'amar Satun, the closed off, hidden statement, utterance, which is the initial word of the Torah, Bereshit. You don't see, it doesn't say there explicitly, and the Lord said, let there be. There's no utterance of creation, but it's hidden inside. Okay, it's called Ma'amar Satum. That corresponds to this very lofty level called the Keter. The Keter, like its name, a crown, is a level that separates the rest of creation, the rest of mankind from Hashem. Just like a crown. What is the functioning of a crown? When a crown sits on the head of a king, it's like a boundary. The head of the king is from within the crown, and the nation, his subjects are beyond the crowns. So it's like a wall. It's like a geder, a wall, a separation between Hashem and the creation, including mankind. And it was Hashem's brain, his mind, his way of thinking is totally detached and separate from us, and that's differentiated by the idea of the Keter. Yet Hashem allows us to tap in to this lofty level. And it's a necessity. Hashem wants us to tap into this high level. And in life, we're going to need it. We're going to need what's called the light of the Keter. in order to shine darkness, to shine light into the darkness of our lives. In other words, we're in situations today where the challenges we go through, it's not enough. The standard Torah teachings, standard moralistic ideas, it's not enough. I need a higher boost. The darkness is so severe, I need a higher degree of light shining from the infinite light. So take a look. The word Or, Aleph Vav Resh, we said this last night also, is Gematria exactly 207, right? Aleph 1, Vav 6, Resh 200. That's exactly the Gematria of the word for the infinite light, Ein Sof. Ein Sof is also 207, meaning that Hashem is expecting us in these final stages before Mashiach comes to, yes, bring in light to such a darkness that we're going through right now. It says in the Midrash, when it says in Parshat Bereshit, v'choshech al pnei tehom, that at the beginning there was water everywhere, right in the beginning, Bereshit ba'alakim v'aretz hayta tohu v'avo v'choshech al pnei tehom. So the Midrash says in tohu v'avo choshech al pnei tehom is a hint to the 4 exiles. Tohu v'avo is Egypt, Babylon. Choshech is Yavan, Greek. Al pnei tehom, darkness upon the depths. So the Midrash says, if it was just the depths and there was light on the top, so you can manage. In other words, a person's in a very deep situation, but there's an opening and light comes in and rainwater comes in, so there's hope. But when there's choshech, this darkness, they close it off. That adds to the suffering of being in the tehom. So Yavan, Greek, even though he's not the last, the final exile, but his influences this final exile that we're in. They say that Edom in themselves had no culture. Edom is the whole culture of Edom is taken from other societies, especially Greeks. The Greeks were the founders of Edom. So that's why Yavan and Edom work together. So take a look. We celebrate 2 holidays to subdue these 2 klipot. Chanukah is to subdue Yavan, and Purim is to subdue Haman being Edom, okay? So just on the side, this is the idea that we have to shine light, and the light that's needed, the demand is from a higher level. So this explains the phenomena that's really hard to take in, that as much as Am Yisrael is around, but the majority of the Jewish people are totally detached from Yiddishkeit. We were never in the history of our exile. We're talking about the last 200, 250 years. We're never in a situation where the majority of Jews have no idea what Judaism is. What's going on? It's showing us that traditional Judaism is not enough. I need a higher boost. This is the proof. If it's enough, okay, so let the yeshivas and the Torah world bring back Am Yisrael, but it's not happening. If it's Kabbalah, okay, there's Kabbalah, and still, people are still lost. We need a higher dosage. This is the idea of the light of the Keter that we're looking to shine in, okay? So now, Rabbi Nachman explains, how do you do that though? How do you connect to the Keter? So he brings a connection of grammar from the word Keter to a word from a verse in the book of Eov. Eov, chapter 36. What happened to Eov, by the way? Eov, he suffered. He was punished with skin inflictions, leprosy. He lost his money, okay? They say, by the way, the Arizal says, who was Eov, really? Eov was the Gilgul of Terach, okay? Terach, the father of Avram Avinu. And why was he called Terach? The word Terach is like lehartiach, to boil. What was he boiling? He was, number one of the big idolaters in his time, but also he committed for forbidden relationship with his wife, believe it or not. And from that relationship, Avram Avinu was born. What does it mean forbidden? That even then the Goyim had the concept of nida, believe it or not. They did. They knew about the voodoo and the danger, the taboo on connected to nida, and they were keeping to an extent, even though not Jews, but they knew that this is not a time to reproduce. And Terach, the Arizal explains this, that he was martiach bedavka. He boiled, meaning he didn't wait for the time. And the evil forces, they said, this is such a good time to bring down a very, very high neshama. What does that mean? He explains like this, the Arizal, that the evil forces, whatever you want to call them up there, they try to keep back very holy neshamot from coming down to this world for the fear that they'll do more good. However, the Arizal says, when they see an opportunity of impurity, of extreme impurity, And it's an opening to let a holy neshama come down because they assume he's just going to fall even more. If he's born in such a scenario, they allow for such a neshama to come down. But Hashem does it as a game. It's really playing a game on the evil because this is Hashem's way for bringing down big neshama down. That's the whole idea of Lot with his daughter, okay, and Yehuda and Tamar, bringing down the souls of Mashiach. Dafka, the big souls come from upside down scenarios, okay? What's the trick? Is that they forget that man has free will. So Avram Avinu was born in such a bad surrounding, a bad environment. His father was one of the big idol worshippers. He was born in a not 100% proper relationship. As last question. It's okay. Ideally, if you can hold it, but thanks. Okay. So they allowed such a neshama like Avram Avinu to come down, but because he came into the world, he has the free will to become Avram Avinu. So the Midrash has a machloket now on who was also the friends of Eov. So Eov, they say, is the Gilgul of Terach. Who was there was three friends. There was Eliphaz, another one, and Barachel. Elihu ben Barachel. Elihu ben Barachel, they say, was Yitzhak Avinu, by the way. Elihu means God. Elihu, he's my God. The son of Avram, that it says about Avram, Hashem berach et Avram bakol. He had all the blessings. That's the idea of Avram Avinu. So to go back to Eov, because he wasn't patient, so he was inflicted with severe leprosy and a loss of tremendous money. And his test was to wait it out. And Eov burst with being upset and angry at Hashem, raging at Hashem, speaking against Hashem. And his three friends were trying to console. Don't judge Hashem's ways. Take it easy. And throughout the 35 chapters of Eov, the first 35 chapters, they weren't able to convince him. The one who was able to convince Eov was the third friend, Elihu ben Barachel, like we said, is really Yitzchak Avinu. He said to him, each one gave like 3 arguments. Each chapter is like another argument to try to prove to Eov not to go against Hashem. He didn't accept it. Elihu's third argument, which is chapter 36, he won Eov. How did he start chapter 36? He said to him, and it's written in Aramaic, he said, I'm going to bring you more proofs. Keter li ze'er v'achaveka. Wait for me a little to compose myself, and I'll see even better things to prove to you. And in this chapter, he says, for example, Esa de'i merachok. To answer you now, I'm going to push away rational arguments. All the friends of Eov, they initially tried to bring rational arguments that he shouldn't question Hashem. So Elihu took a different path in his third argument. He says, I'm going to forget about using rationalization with you. I'm going to tell you like this. You have to have emunah. You have to have emunah, and that's the key. And in this chapter, he won over Eov. He convinced Eov because he says you have to now, you're trying to understand Hashem's ways. So we're telling you, push the rational altogether on the side and go right into the pathway of emunah. That's how you can accept it. And he did, okay? So now the opening words of Elihu to Eov was Keter li ze'er. This is not in Hebrew, it's in Aramaic. What does it mean, Keter li ze'er? Keter means wait. Li for me, ze'er, a little. So Rabbi Nachman draws a connection between the Keter and this word Keter, saying what? That this light that the Keter contains, this infinite light, which is what I so badly need in my daily living, in my daily grind of challenges and what I'm going through and the ups and downs, I need a boost of this life. The condition to get it is what's called patience, Keter. I have to wait. It's a waiting process. And in this waiting process is the test of emunah and simcha as the prerequisite to be able to hold on and to get this light. Because if not, a person in his attempt to connect to this level, he'll crash. How this works is like this. The Zohar says like this, that the Keter first shines its light to every person, everyone in life. The Zohar says like this, every person in the world, when they have an uplifting experience in life, it's coming from the Keter. When you have, for example, you go to a Lag BaOmer festival and the music is making you fly, that's coming from the Keter. When you're at a chasana and the dancing got you overwhelmed you, it's coming from the Keter. All of a sudden you're davening, and all of a sudden you're saying like Nishmat Kol Chai, or Keladon or Hodu, and all of a sudden you feel the words inside of you. You feel the connection. You feel the Adveiku that's coming from the Keter. Anytime there's a light in your devotion, it's coming from this high level. But it's not lasting. It comes and it goes. It takes off. Why does it do that? Because it's an incentive. It gives you a taste of what's out there. It's removed, and now it's up to you to reconnect to it. So, but you have to face the challenge. What's the challenge? That when a Jew decides to pursue this light, the way of the Keter is it bounces back a person. It does what's called the betisha. Now, it's a setback. The setbacks that a person has in life is the pushing back of the Keter. What's the test then? Majority of people, when they get pushed back, they take it as a sign, this is not for me. It's not for me. I'm wasting my time. I'm looking for Yiddishkeit. I'm looking for connection. And I'm trying my best to be a good person, a good Jew. And they push me back. So I don't need this. I don't need this. I remember I had a friend. He had a rough time. His mother passed away when he was like a teenager. And he was trying to meet Chazak in his Yiddishkeit. I saw him like 5 years later. No kippah, no nothing. I said, what happened? And he said like this, I gave Hashem a chance. I gave God a chance. I was giving Hashem a chance, you know. And I was thinking, what does it mean give me a chance? The setbacks are taken the wrong way. Most people, when they get pushed back, they immediately say, this is not for me. Because any slight challenge people go through, they take it as a hint. If it's not easy to do, if it's not a quick fix, if it's not easy to connect, it's not for me. But the real reality is that the setback is a prerequisite for Judaism. Rabbi Nachman's famous statement that he says in Likutey Moharan lesson 6, Haba litaher mesayin lo, omim lo hamten. This is from a Gemara in Masechet Yoma. Okay, I think it's Yoma, yeah? That someone who wants to come to do tshuva, someone haba litaher, someone who wants to become pure, they help him from heaven. How do they help him? They say, wait. And the mashal, the analogy they say, of a person who comes to buy or kerosene or a very sweet-smelling perfume, like an oil that smells very nice. So when it's kerosene, which stinks, the owner says, here, take the bottle and fill it up yourself. You want to take kerosene? No problem. Here, help yourself. Do it yourself. But when someone wants to buy this persimmon oil, it's called shemen afar simon, the owner says, wait me to finish my other customers, and I want to pour it for you because I like smelling it whenever it's poured out to sell. I want to also delight. So too, the nimshal is that when heaven sees you're coming to purify themselves, they tell you to wait because Hashem wants to delight in your process, but you have to wait. Okay? So Rabbi Nachman says this waiting process, which is a trick. You know, most people think, they're pushing me back. They don't want me. But the real reality is that this stage is the key to coming in. There's a rule like this in life. Salvation and breakthroughs in life come to those who wait for it. If now a person doesn't have the patience, he can walk away, and instead of waiting there, he left. And when they opened the door and he's not there to receive the salvation, he lost the opportunity. Okay? Rav Nosson brings an analogy on this on Parshat, what we saw in Parshat Vayera by Avram Avinu after he did the circumcision. It says at the opening of the Parsha, V'hu Yoshev Petach HaOhel Kechom Hayom. And Avram was sitting at the entrance of the tent. He was sitting there looking for guests, right? And it says Kechom Hayom, that Hashem made it so intense, the heat of the sun, the pshat is so as not to trouble Avram Avinu with guests. Because he has to heal. He just did a brit milah, circumcision, and he's in pain. And even though he's in pain, he had bandages and everything, he was sitting outside looking for guests. Okay, so Rav Nosson interprets it like this. Avram Avinu is every Jew. The entrance is the entrance to the gateways of holiness. And it's closed. Avram, the Jew, is waiting at the entrance. And while he's waiting, he's being heated up with all types of desires and confusions and frustrations. When there's a setback, it's not just you're sitting back doing nothing. You're waiting, and while you're waiting, you're being burnt, you're being in pain. Like Eov, he was in pain. He had leprosy, loss of money. So he's in pain, and he's waiting and waiting and waiting. You're telling me to wait. That's the test. I to wait and endure. It's not easy. You need a level of emunah and simcha to be able to to be able to be quiet and contain and just have that patience, because that's all that's needed for this test. And it's not easy. Most people, they crack at this level, but this is the gateway, is that patience and patience and patience. So going back, this is the procedure that the Keter pushes back a person, and his job at that point is to wait and wait and wait. And like we said earlier, that salvation comes to those who wait for it. Rav Nosson, there was a story with Rav Nosson and his disciple, Rav Nachman of Tulchin, that when Rav Nosson wanted to print the first volume of Likutey Moharan, at that time, the Russian government made it forbidden to print any Hasidic literature. The secular Jews in the government convinced the government that it's forbidden to print any Breslov publications, any Chabad publications. No, this is like 200 years, 1840s, 1830s, okay? They said that these books bring people to depression, okay? So they forbade in the Russian Empire to print Hasidic works. So Rav Nosson had no choice. He had to go all the way to Romania. He had to send his student all the way to Iasi in Romania to print the first volume of Likutey Moharan in the year 1840. So Rav Nachman Tulchiner, he went, fine. He printed the books, and he now came with the cargo, with all the load merchandise of the books to the border, and was having difficulty going through. He had problems with his documents and papers, also with the books, bringing it to Russia, because it's against the law. So he didn't know what to do, but he waited there. He waited. He could have said, you know what, if it's like this, let me go back to a Jewish community in Iasi and wait there for another opportunity. He said, no, I'm going to wait here. And he waited a few days, and then he had an opening, and he came through. And when he came with Rav Nosson with all the books, Rav Nosson was delighted. He said, how did you do it? He said, I remember what you told me, that when you need a salvation, you have to wait at the door. You have to wait. So I decided to wait until the door was open and I was able to go through. So this is a big rule in life, because most people, they're not there anymore. They took off. People don't have this secret for patience, but that's what's needed. The koach to advance is what's called hamtana. The hamtana is a key for a person to be able to reach his destiny when he really needs to get to. But most people can't wait. They say about the Rikanti, he wrote a very deep Kabbalistic explanation on the Chumash. At the age of 85, he started writing his Kabbalistic insights. What was his story? They say about him, when he was 10 years old, and he was a child in the Keter, he saw that he doesn't have a brain for Torah. He saw that he has a very thick head and he's not able to learn. So he spent the next 70 years, he was working, a working man, but he spent the next 70 years davening to Hashem to open my mind to the Torah. At age 85, he writes this. He had a dream with Avram Avinu, Eliyahu Navi, with a cup of water. He said, drink. He drank the water. He woke up. He opened the Chumash, and everything became clear. Everything was opened. And that's the Rekanti that we see. He has all these secrets. What's idea? That's an extreme example. But he waited. He waited. Most people would say, it's not for me. To be a Talmid Chacham is not for me. To be a Tzaddik is not for me. I'm there. Come on. Look at me. Look at my situation. Here, Rabbi Nachman's teaching, you have to wait. You have to have the secret of waiting. To get to the Keter, you need Qatar. Now, more than this, every time you advance, what's the idea? You try to advance, you push back again. You advance a little bit more, you push back again. And most people can't handle that. I go up to 100, they push me back down to 0. And then I try again. Okay, I got this time to 101, and they push me back again to 0. How long can I do this? But that's the secret. Like I said many times, Breslovers, they drink 7-Up. 7-Up. Sheva yipol tzaddik, vakam. 7-Up. A tzaddik falls 7 times, and he gets back up. That's 7-Up, okay? The idea is, to get somewhere in life, you have to be ready and, what's the word? Able to be pushed back and to get back up. Huh? Resilience. Thank you. Resilience is the word, okay? And the resilience is in the scenario that they put you back to 0, sometimes even -0. They throw even lower, right? But the thing is, you get back up, and every time you get back up, there's always an advance. There's always an advance. It may not seem like it, but you did go up to 101, and the next time was 102, 103, okay? But the secret is that I'm willing to get back up and keep on going, okay? There are stories, many stories of people who just held on against all odds. They just kept on holding on. Just give up already. Just drop it. They say, no, I'm gonna hold on. There's a story of a Breslover, Moshe Dov Rosenfeld, that he was on false charges put in Siberia, and they put him in Siberia right before Pesach, and he was a religious Jew. And he went in with his beard and payas, which was something very uncommon in the 1930s, 1940s to see a Jew in communist Russia with still beard and payas was very, very rare because everyone was scared scared to death with what they were going through. But he kept on his beard and payas and everything. And Siberia at the time was filled with many Jews who gave up already. Religious Jews who, because of the pressure of communist Russia, they gave up. So when they saw a new person come in, religious and holding on, it so made them angry out of jealousy. So they started attacking him. You're gonna fall like we did. Just wait a little. You're gonna fall like us. You think you're gonna hold on to your Yiddishkeit? You're gonna fall also, because that's the worst. The worst is we see another Jew who's still holding on, and you fell already, chas v'shalom. So out of jealousy and you're gonna fall also. So it was right before Pesach, and they said to him, Moshe Dov, what are you gonna do for Pesach? There's only chametz here. What are you gonna do? And he was someone, he couldn't imagine that he's gonna eat chametz on Pesach. He said, you're gonna see I'm not gonna be here. He said, yeah, right. He said, you'll see. And he started davening and saying, Hashem, don't put me in a situation like this, please. And every day was getting closer. They said that the clock is running, the time is running out. And he said, you'll see. And he kept on davening and davening and davening. Erev Pesach, in this sorry, it wasn't Siberia, please. It was next to Berdichev. So it was like a type of prison for these type of people next to Berdichev. So Erev Pesach comes, and all of a sudden the guards come and open his cell. He said, we got an order from the Kremlin. You're free to go. Like that. He opened the door, ran out. He was able to get to Berdichev on time for Yom Tov and spend Pesach there. And from there, he got a train in Chol HaMoed to go to his family on eastern Ukraine. The point is waiting and being patient and holding on, and it's painful, okay? So Rabbi Nachman says, how can you hold on when it's difficult? He says two prerequisites are needed to be able to hold on. Those are the prerequisite of simcha and emunah. When a Jew works on being besimcha and he's working on a positive attitude, when these setbacks take place in his life, because he's so accustomed to trying to train his instinct on being positive, so when the setback comes, he does take it also positive. He doesn't say, this is not for me. Hashem doesn't need me. The Torah is not for me. I'm not going to try anymore. I tried getting up chatzot already, didn't work. I tried saying Tehillim every day, it doesn't work anymore. He holds on. He said, okay. Because he's in a positive vein, positive attitude, when there's setbacks, he knows to take it, okay. There's another chance. Most people don't have simcha. Immediately when a setback happens, they drop it already. So his prerequisite, Rabbi Nachman gives, is that you have to be besimcha. And number two is the emunah that comes with the simcha. The emunah that, Baruch Hashem, we believe that this is part of the picture. You see, there's emunah in learning Torah, and there's a higher level of emunah with these setbacks. There's two levels of the Torah. There's the revealed level, the Pshat Remez Drash Sod of the Torah, and there's this level of the Torah called the Keter. Both have a different attitude of emunah. What's the emunah in learning Torah? When you're learning Torah, Rabbi Nachman teaches, you have to join the Torah with emunah. What does that mean? That means whenever you're learning, you don't make as your goal to understand. Okay, I make as my goal to understand what Rashi is saying, what Tosfot is saying, and my goal is just the intellectual understanding. So what's the other alternative? That makes sense, lichora. What's the other alternative? Is that I'm learning with the attitude, yes, I'm going to understand, but I'm touching something that's endless. When I connect to a page of Gemara, a Rashi, a Pasuk, I'm touching something that's Ein Sof. There's no end to the depth. And I'm going with an emunah attitude in learning. In other words, I'm yes intellectual, but the goal, I didn't make the intellect. The goal is that there's something beyond that I don't understand. Like the famous statement, Tachlit hayediyah asher lo neda. The goal of learning, of knowing Torah, is to know how much you don't know. In other words, the more you advance in Torah, the sign that you're on the right track is that you're made more aware how much I don't know. Okay? That happens when you learn with emunah. When you're always learning with emunah, anything. It's not like, okay, I get up, I got the whole sugya, I understand it. But the Torah is so endless that even when learning a whole complex Talmudic discussion, with emunah, you begin to see another question popping up, another question pops up, and it doesn't end. That's why there's so many Sfarim. Why there's so many Sfarim, it doesn't end? Because the Torah is really something endless. And they're always touching upon like another scratch on the mountain, and it just led to another crack, another opening, and then you see there's another level, and it doesn't end. That's learning Torah with emunah. I'm advancing, but always with emunah ahead of me. So it's going advancing with emunah. That's good for the revealed level of the Torah, for the levels that we have available. For the Keter, it's exact opposite direction, because the Keter level of the Torah, this infinite light, it pushes a person backwards. It's not like you're going forward. When you learn Torah, you're going forward. I'm learning another page, another pasuk, another chazal, another halacha. I'm advancing. Here, you're being pushed backwards. You're going in the backwards direction. Which emunah is needed here? Rabbi Nachman says you need this level of emunah to believe that this setback is really an advance. Yerida letzorech aliyah, or another wording is yerida tachlit aliyah. It's a setback for the preparation for an ascent. And another explanation, it's tachlit aliyah. The greatest going up in life is when you've been pushed back. That's the sign that you're on the right track. When you're doing something good, l'shem shamayim, and you're honest and you're sincere, and you're being pushed back, you have to have emunah that this must be right. I must be doing the right thing. It can't be that they're pushing me back and it's a dead end. It can't be chas v'shalom. So this is the emunah needed. This is what Rabbi Nachman teaches, that how you perceive the Keter. So he says a pasuk, Rav Nosson brings this pasuk, how simcha is the key for the Keter. It's a pasuk, a very clear pasuk. V'simchat olam al rosham. That from the simcha that a Jew has in this world, which means while being setbacks, being filled with all these setbacks and all these what's the word in English? Achzavot. How do you say achzava in English? Disappointments. Sorry. A lot of disappointments in situations and scenarios. And yet I'm able to maintain simcha. That's simchat olam. The simcha that I maintain in my Judaism, despite the setbacks of this world. Olam translates as what, by the way? Ha'alama, a concealment. The olam is ha'alama. That even though there's such setbacks and such a concealment of Hashem's presence in my life, and yet I maintain simcha. Al Rosham, I get to the Keter. Al Rosham, what's on the head? On the head is the Keter, okay? So now all this is hinted to in the Chanukah lights. The Chanukah lights, it's called Or, right? The goal of Chanukah is to enlighten our darkness with light. Which light? We said already, Or is Gematria. Ein Sof, the infinite light, right? That half hour that you first light the Chanukah lights, our result teaches, literally for every Jew, the infinite light is open. That's why it's such a special time to daven in that first half hour, to say the Zmirot of Chanukah. It's a time just to look at the lights, right? The hana'ah you can get from the Chanukah lights is to look at their light, because it's now shining for that first half hour, an opening of the infinite light for every Jew. It's a gift that Hashem, that the Torah gives us in the darkest, one of the beginning of the darkest parts of the year, the winter. Now we begin Kislev going into Tevet. It's dark and cold and gloomy, and everyone's Tisha B'Av attitude. You know, the Chicago slush, and the Toronto slush, the North American slush, and the cold, and everyone's sad. And this Dafka then to light candles, to shine the infinite light in that darkness, to give me meaning, okay? And how does the Chanukah lights work? Okay, how do we do today? Mosif ve'holecher. It's been accepted by everyone. Sfardim, Ashkenazim, Teimanim. Everybody does Mosif ve'holech. First day, I light one candle. Second day, we go back to the first one. Why do we go back? Like we said, because every time you go forward, they push you back. That's why in the second day, you would think, okay, let's start. Let's continue, second, third, fourth. Let me go up on the Chanukiah. No, we want you to start lighting the Chanukiah from the beginning point again. Why? I was there yesterday. No, go back to the beginning point. What's the idea? This is how you learn to receive the light of the Keter. If you have the training of waiting, hamten, katar, to be able to wait, that's how you, on Zot Chanukah, can get the full light, Bezat Hashem. In other words, when we say full light, that it's internalized. Every year Chanukah is not the same, by the way. Every year Chanukah, it's a different experience for you. It's a different light. It's a different opening. Obviously, it depends on you. There's some people that are stale and stagnant. They'll have the same Chanukah for 40 years. But we're looking to advance. I'm looking to have a change. I want that challenge in order to experience Hashem on a newer level in my life. I need it. If not, I'm going to be dead. Chas v'shalom. This is the light of Chanukah, always going forward and going back. I see you have a question. You're burning for a question. I'm ready now to hear it. Yes. Beautiful. Oh, dear Lord. You got that? Sheva Yipol Tzadik is the first 7 days of Chanukah, and Vakam is the 8th day. You get 10 points there. That was a good chiddush. Oh, beautiful. You had a question also. I knew it. It disappeared. No, I still have. Answer the questions. Okay. I thought normally when we go talking, we continue, the questions disappear. Oh, yeah, good questions. But that's the point, Baruch Hashem. That's the light of Chanukah, okay? And like we said earlier, Chanukah is to try to fix the difficulty of Yavan, because Yavan translates as Yevin Mitzula, quicksand. The klipa, the darkness activated by the galut of Yavan was to get people like feeling that they're sinking and getting nowhere. So Chanukah is the time to fix that type of thing. Purim is to fix Haman. Purim is as Haman, Edom. For that, it's a different ball game. Rav Nosson says the ball game on Purim is Dafka getting drunk and acting silly and jokes and everything, because that's how you deal with the klipa of Haman. Haman, which is Edom. The way to combat Edom is Dafka, what's called Mili Dishtuta, Simcha, but at the extreme level, where you're acting silly and telling jokes, that's how you're able to attack the klipa of Edom. But Yavan requires something of the resilience, of my ability to show to Hashem that I want to advance. My soldier part, the part of me that is the one going forward. So this is the idea of the advancing, going back, and able to continue and start again from the first candle, on the third day, going back in the 1, 2, 3, fourth day, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is what builds up a person. So basically, Chanukah is the preparation of the darkest months of the year, of Tevet and Shvat. Just to explain a little, the Arizal says that, not the Arizal, the Zohar says that the 12 months of the year are divided into 3 categories. There are months of Chesed, kindness, there's months of Dinim, judgments, and there's months of Rachamim, compassion, which is like a balance. Compassion is a middle balance between the Din and the kindness. So we have from Elul, Tishrei, Cheshvan, Kislev. Kislev, they're months of Rachamim, of compassion. We have Adar, Nisan, Iyar, Sivan, months of Chesed. And the months of Din are split into 2, because if they were together in one shot, we wouldn't be able to handle them. So we have 2 in the winter, 2 in the summer. The 2 in the winter are Tevet and Shvat, and the 2 in the summer are Tammuz and Av, okay? So as a preparation for these, sorry? The Zohar Keter says this, okay? One more time. Oh boy. It's just the end, the breakdown of the months. The months, okay. So again, 4 of Chesed is Adar, Nisan, Iyar, Sivan. That's 4. That's right. Sorry. No, that's Chesed. Rachamim is Elul, Tishrei, Cheshvan, Kislev. And the months of Din are split into 2. In the winter, it's Tevet and Shvat. And in the summer, it's Tammuz and Av. Tevet and Shvat, and Tammuz and Av in the summer. Shvat is a dark month, but it's mitigated by Tu B'Shvat, right? Tu B'Shvat is the beginning point of its elevation point, because it's 30 days before Purim. Because it's 30 days before Purim, it's lightened. Shvat also means a shevet, and we're able to smack. It's the 11th month. Rav Nosson writes this. Shvat is the 11th month, which corresponds to the 11 fragrances of the Ketoret. So number 11 is what makes the Makeh B'Patit. It's the one that finalizes it, and it has the koach to subdue. But it's difficult. The beginning part, you have to be able to. It's winter. It's dark still. Okay. So Chanukah takes place literally, mamish. It's half part. It's the majority is in Kislev, and the final 2 days or 3 days, depends how what year it is, goes into the month of Tevet to train us on this light. How to get that light for the dark period of the life is you have to have resilience when they send you back to be able to start going up again. And you keep on getting bounced back, but I'm still here. I'm still trying. Even they've bounced me back so many times, I'm still getting up and I'm still going forward. So that's basically the light of Chanukah, which we're hoping to shine in. And it's every Jew doing it, every Jew in the world. Now it's amazing. This Rav Nachman is hinted to in Chanukah itself, because there's two nuschot of the bracha, Ladik Ner Shel Chanukah, but according to the Kabbalah, it's Ladik Ner Chanukah, and it spells out Nun Chet Lamed Nachal, and there's a hint to Rabbi Nachman. It's called Nachal Novea Mekol Chochma. Some say Ladik Ner Shel Chanukah. You have Ladik Ner Chanukah Nachal. His name is he said he's a Nachal Novea Mekol Chochma. So you see his inyan into there. You had a question, yes?
So the months of Dinim are the extremes of the winter and extremes of the summer.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. You have koach to handle the extremes of the summer because of Shavuot. Because of Pesach and Shavuot, you're able now to go into Tammuz.
Right. The hottest and coldest months of the year.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
We say Avram. Who's one who says that Avram was born to Terach from the Zivug, which was
Arizal says that.
Arizal says that, and except was it the time actual? Was he actually born from the moment of the Zivug, or Bechlal Terach wasn't?
He was already over the Avodah Zarah, and he was selling Avodah Zarah.
When Avram was conceived,
yeah,
that from
the Reticha
at that moment, yeah, he was against the Teva that he could be born at that point.
Exactly. They saw that this was a divine time to bring it to happen.
This was even against the Teva.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, and because that's also the Shach, they say that that is Kaisel even comes from a less likely place.
What?
It was against Teva. In Teva, Avram shouldn't be born.
L'chor.
Perik Lamed Vav
of Eov.
Yeah. Is also Chanukah. Lamed Vav.
Nice. How many candles on Chanukah? 36. So it's saying chapter 36. Very nice.
And the two of the Tisha, the Tisha and the Hamtana, that's exactly the opposite of Yush. Yush would be the other direction.
Exactly. All right.
Now, so Yavan is also an extension, always going deeper. Yud, Vav, Nun, right? Right, that extension.
Going deep downwards.
Yeah.
Yud, Vav, Nun. Yevin. That's why it's a quick sign.
Keeps you really well rooted.
What?
The Menace of Peace keeps you really well rooted.
And in the bad sense. In Yavan, we don't. We hope, but Yavan, he wants you to go downwards. That's the problem. Yud, Vav, Nun. What he's trying to say. All right. So now the final part. All this is taken from the Likutey Moharan lesson 24. And I say this in every class, and it's important to say this. Rabbi Nachman's teachings work in a very unique way, in that the more you learn them, the more you begin to see the changes of these lessons that you're learning in your life. This may be true for learning all Torah, but you got to work really, really hard to have that happen. When you learn a Chumash or a Mishnah or a Gemara or whatever, to see the change in life from that is a lot of work. Rabbi Nachman's teachings, on the other hand, because his perspective is so from a high perspective and it's relating to you, the more you learn them, they have the segula, if you want to say, to begin to see changes in your life. So he said himself, learning these lessons, you begin to see the activation of changes in life, but it's not complete without davening about it. Yeah, there's two stages. There's learning the Torah of the tzaddikim, and then there's davening about what they mention. It can be compared to, we mentioned this analogy yesterday, I'll say it again, like someone, God forbid, who has a skin problem on his elbow, okay? A skin disease, and there's some expensive cream that he has to buy from the pharmacy and apply it there. So he goes to buy the cream from the pharmacy. Great, okay? But he has to apply it on the wound. So too, learning Torah of tzaddikim activates the remedy, activates the advice, the antidote, what's needed. But what's needed is to apply it. The davening about it is what bridges from potential to actual. For this reason, Rabbi Nachman instructed his disciple. He really hinted to him, but he was telling him that this is what has to be done, to write prayers on his lessons in his book, Likutey Moharan. So Rav Nosson did that. He wrote an amazing book called Likutey Tfilot. These prayers are not from this world. He said himself, they come from the 50th level, which is a connotation to the level of the Keter. They come from the 50th gate. Why do we say that? Because whenever you open these prayers, you find exactly what you're going through in life in these words. It's something phenomenal. You can open anywhere and you start reading it with a sincere perspective. Not like, oh, I want to prove it's wrong or prove it's right. I'm honest now. I want Hashem in my life. When you do that, you open anywhere in the prayers, they're exactly what you're going through. Okay? So now this is enhanced much more when you take a specific lesson that, yes, matches more specifically what you'd like to work on, and the prayer on it, it's phenomenal. So this lesson that we spoke about, the Keter and being able the resilience and being able to handle the setbacks in advance, these concepts are brought in lesson 24. And Rav Nosson in his prayer develops these ideas on a very practical level. Because the book Likutey Moharan is very heavy, Rabbi Nachman himself instructed Rav Nosson to make an abridged version. And when Rav Nosson showed the initial version to Rabbi Nachman was impressed, and he said in Yiddish, "This is a shein zettel. You did a nice work. You made a very nice work." However, Rav Nosson felt that it wasn't complete. It was too condensed. And over his 40 years later, Rav Nosson decided, 30 years after that, he developed it further. Okay, making the ideas more expanded. This is a book called today, the Abridged Likutey Moharan, the Kitzur Likutey Moharan. So we prepared a PDF file. I came here last year with this idea also. Last year, if you recall, if we were there, we had a 40-day challenge on this lesson, and it was a pilot test. And most people didn't do it because it was just too heavy. It was too heavy. They'll tell me to read 5 pages a day, 10 pages. So we saw that people were not doing it because it was too much. So we broke it down and we revised the version, which takes about 1, 2, 3 minutes a day to say. It's reciting parts of the lesson and parts of the prayer. So we have here prepared a QR scan, wherever has a QR. If you can just pass it down, don't mind. QR scan leads to this WhatsApp group that has in it, in the description, the PDF file to download. So you have that there. And also to help us in our cause of restorative therapy, which is preparing these classes. It took about a year to prepare these classes. Believe it or not, that's why it takes a year for me to come back to Chicago. It takes a year to prepare the classes. If I came every week, every month, you wouldn't have shiurim like this, okay? So it takes a year to prepare the classes. It's research, it's learning, it's posting, it's sharing. So you have a second QR there to help support us with a U.S. tax deductible donation. So B'ezrat Hashem, we should have next week the light of Chanukah. And we should be strong in shining this light of resilience, to have the light of the Keter. And once a Jew has the light of the Keter, he has everything in life. It's the greatest gift to have the light of Hashem shine in even the biggest darkness, and to know that he's there and to know what to do. That is the greatest gift. And Yirat Son, we should not ever in life face a darkness that we feel is above and beyond our level. Rather, to be convinced through emunah that this darkness can be bypassed by the light of the Keter. No matter how big the Keter, how deep the darkness tries to bring us into frustration and confusion, to believe and know there's a level of Keter, of light, that can shine even into this darkness, and the light given is clarity of what to do. Like the Maggid of Mizrach teaches, that 50% of the solution is knowing what the problem is. And when you're in darkness, you can't see what the problem is. What's needed is a light bulb, a flashlight to shine. Here's the handle, here's the switch, okay, here are the steps. That's what the infinite light does. It shines into a person's real low darkness, a big light, the light of the infinite light, to give him the coordinates and the direction what to take. Yirat Son, we should be zoche this Chanukah to activate this light. Shkoyach. Thank you for joining.